Good day. Welcome to Resourceful Women, and we will talk about women in the mining industry and how all that comes together. Today, I am very fortunate to be speaking with Joanne Jobin, and she is very accomplished, very much, I would say, an advocate for the mining industry, for women, for young people, just the industry as a whole being a great place to work and a great spot for investment. So, Joanne, I'll let you take it from there.
Thank you very much. And thank you for having me today. I really appreciate it. I guess the key thing you're really referring to is the conference that I founded in 22 called the Mining Investment Event. I myself have been in and around the mining industry since, the 80s. I actually was the first person to do a site visit for Barrick to Mercer Mines and Goldfields back in the day. So I've been in and around the mining industry for a very long time in various roles, everything from capital markets to IR to corporate communications. I've worked with a lot of different companies, from the seniors such as I Am Gold and Yamana right down to the juniors. And obviously I've been to a lot of conferences as well. So, having my own conference was always kind of a dream of mine. And of course, I had my own ideas about how I wanted to formulate this conference. And I have a lot of friends in the conference industry. So, as I was going to their conferences and bringing my clients along, there were a lot of great things about these conferences that I wanted to incorporate into mine, but also a little differently because I'm not a conference convener. I'm not somebody who, is a entertainment lawyer or anything like that. I'm a mining person who wanted to create a conference to really serve the industry. So in 22, we launched right after COVID. We had about 300 attendees, and we had 47 companies. And out of those 300 attendees, 81 of them were investors. We launched in Quebec City, and I always get a lot of questions like, why Quebec? Well, there's a couple of really good reasons.
I imagine a couple of my own answers to that as well.
Yeah. So, it's the question we get all the time. And I'm like, well, most of the big global mining companies have a footprint either in Quebec or in Ontario nearby. So that would be really easy for them to bring in. The other thing was Quebec City had the same sort of ambiance as what we see at the Denver Gold or at BMO, or really what we see at Beaver Creek, where you've got this really nice, tight-knit community feel in a very special place. And the Quebec government was super, super supportive with the conference and has been to this day. The other thing is, after many, many years of going to all of these conferences, I'm like, why do because most of us are TSX listed. Of course, there are some LSE and there are some ASX listed companies, but it's like, why aren't we doing this in our own backyard? Why do we have to go to the US, Europe? I mean, we are one of the mining capitals of the world, arguably maybe why aren't we doing this in our own backyard? And the more I spoke to people about it, former clients, clients, banks, brokers, they all said the same. Well, yeah, we should be doing this here. And, if you do it, we will support you. And that's how it all started.
Well, that's fantastic. So the motivation, you said that it was a dream of yours. What was the key driver for you? What was that push that made you want to do it yourself?
Well, first of all, I had to have enough money to do it, to be really blunt.
They're not free.
I mean, you can only bootstrap so much. I mean, you really have to fund yourself. And I really want it to be my conference. as opposed to a committee of several people. And now I knew what I wanted. And I wish it had happened 10 years earlier, but, here we are starting it right after COVID. And I also knew that was, if I didn't pull the trigger at that time, I would it just wasn't going to happen.
It was a now or never moment.
Yeah, pretty much. So, I put some savings on the line and went and signed a bunch of contracts and, had a very small staff of people helping me out. And this is where we're at now. We're, 800, last year was 800 attendees, 265 investors and 115 companies.
That's excellent. When I think about women and mining, banking, investment, communication, and all of those things, it's a treat to speak to you because you bring all of that together. And I think something that, there are some women who are doing amazing things in mining finance and generally in education. Like I'm thinking of the Femina Collective and Beth Borody and people who are getting out there and saying, let's talk about money.
Yeah.
And, we need it. It does good things. We look at it as a tool. How did you get to the place in life where you were able to self-finance that and that leap? I know you talked about that, what I call the now or never moment.
Yeah. Well, through COVID, I was stuck in this little loft office and a lot of people were coming to me because I had a lot of experience already had digital experience and I was doing online conferences and I knew the retail sector really well. So I had a lot of companies reaching out to me. So, fortunately for me, I did very well during COVID, but I also did very well with a little company called Ely Gold that I had been their IR person right from the very beginning. And I had some options and the company was sold to Gold Royalty. So that gave me the wherewithal to actually go out and do something.
That's a magnificent story. I love it when things work out and then you took that.
Yeah.
And
it was a leap. It was a real leap of faith. The amount of anxiety. I can't even. The amount of anxiety is like, will anybody even show up? Right? It's like,
you plan this big party. Will anybody come? Yeah.
Yes.
The sanitizer budget alone.
And that trauma never goes away. Okay. Because every year it's the same thing. Oh my God, are they coming? Are they coming? So it's like a continual trauma. But I have to say, we've had such amazing response from all the governments, from the mining community, from all of our sponsors. I mean, this year we have over 50 sponsors. And we have big ones like Glencore is our first ever diamond sponsor.
Fantastic.
And I mentor a couple of young girls here that are, coming up through the ranks with me because I'm like, I can't do this forever. I would like to kind of retire at one time. And speaking of mentoring, we also, as I said in the beginning, we really wanted to differentiate ourselves. Mm-hmm. From other conferences. So one of the things we did, this was in year 2, is we implemented the student sponsorship program where we would mentor 50 students from across Canada.
You can't see this because it's a podcast, but I'm actually like moving closer to the screen because I'm so drawn to that idea.
Yeah.
Tell me all about that, please.
So when we launched it the first year, it was hard to bring students in. They thought it was a scam because who is going to put them up for 3 days and introduce them viscerally to the mining industry? Mm-hmm. Who is going to do that? Right. I'm like, well, us, we're doing it.
We're legit.
It's true. So we put them up for 3 days. It's actually like a little mini conference within a conference.
Hmm.
And one of my young proteges, Brett Booker, is running that entire program. She does an amazing job. But they do a case study. And then at the end, they're awarded with, like the winning team, outstanding student. Last year we had Osisco and Glencore as sponsors of the program. And this year, Glencore has taken the entire program. And we've renamed it the Glencore Student Sponsorship Program. So we are just thrilled with their participation. That is like I don't know how we did it, but we did it. You know,
So,
and students, like every night, CEOs come in and they talk to them and they give them little pep talks and ask me anything sort of, presentations and all of our evening events are sponsored. So
mhm.
we have like beautiful gala events and cocktails and after dark events. So the students are out there and they're listening to presentations and they're rubbing elbows with the CEOs. We have master classes for them as well. I mean, it's an amazing and unique opportunity for these young people to entertain coming into the mining industry. And it's not just for the geology students. We have metallurgy, computer science, of course, geology, business, engineering, like it's across the board.
That's awesome. One of the things that I love to do is talk with people about how we bring non-geo, non-engineering. I mean, I appreciate it all, but I do think that bringing the cross-disciplinary people into the industry
Yeah,
is, and anytime I make any connection with someone who is not in a, absolutely, this is a mining kind of career or path or program of study,
right.
I'm always excited because they're like, in mining? You can
Yeah,
do that in mining? I'm like,
yeah,
absolutely. Like, I am
yeah,
not a mining engineer, but I'm very involved with the mining industry. I love the mining industry. I see it as bringing so much potential to places. When I think of host communities and the places I've been in the world where I've seen mining in action, I'm almost like, yes, mining, I'm clapping. I'm a big,
yeah,
big advocate for the industry. And the trick that I have found is that people who have not seen mines in action, have not felt the economic positivity and the power and
yeah,
all the challenges to overcome,
yeah.
those people don't know about mining.
No,
And so often people in the industry say, we need to talk about mining more. We need to talk about mining more positively.
yeah,
And I think it's really, really phenomenal that you were able to enact that. So with all of those scientists, with all of those, process engineers, metallurgy, geo, all the people who are already interested in it, to give them a place to come together and say, I find this industry interesting, and to have the interested leadership there. I have not met a CEO of any mining company who is not excited about mining,
yes,
and to give them a chance to make that connection with the generation that we're always talking about. We need younger people, we need new people, we need to reach more broadly.
absolutely.
I am so excited to hear that you do this.
Yeah, I'm very proud of my students, and they're always reaching out to me, even to this day, even from like our earlier class of our class of 23 on down.
Mhm.
We've mentored some of them, we've kept in touch, and a lot of two or three of those students come back every year, and they actually help Brett organize and plan and our hosts for our students as well. So,
That is
and we invite every student who's ever taken part in our program is invited to come back to the conference free of charge every year.
So if
So,
that doesn't acknowledge the student life, I don't know what does.
exactly. I mean, I mean, we can't put you up for 3 days, obviously, but if you want to come back and take a look at, meet more CEOs and,
Hmm.
and watch the presentations and network, you are welcome to do so.
The networking that students do amongst themselves is something I think that is overlooked if you don't live in a university.
Yes.
You know, um, the things that they do when they get together are really impressive. Like some of the competitions that they tackle, student-led competitions that they put them on, and they invite people and they compete and they have a fantastic time. And then all of a sudden, they know someone from Montreal, they know someone from Vancouver.
Exactly. We sponsored the McGill robotics competition this year as well. So, we're very big proponents of bringing these young people in. The other thing that, the other really important, it's a little initiative, but it means a lot, is our SHICO initiative. And this is an initiative that we started to support young women and, with their startups and with their education, or supporting disadvantaged communities. So the first year when we launched it, we supported 3 young women from Afghanistan with continuing their education at University of BC. Last year, we supported a drum circle in Newfoundland and Labrador with grade school children that were traumatized. So these are young children coming in from maybe the Ukraine or Gaza or other places. So we support communities, and a lot of times, like this year, we've asked Sean Rusin, who opened the conference for us last year, to name his charity, and we will support that this year. So, it's a really strong part of what we do, and we're very upfront about supporting young women, education, and communities.
Obviously, that is I'm guessing it's phenomenally rewarding, but even just witnessing the tough stories.
Yes.
That's some pretty intense work.
Yeah. And, we don't want to pry. We just want to support. So, when somebody comes to us and says, we can use some help here, I'm like, okay, what do you need? Let's help you out. Let's help you out to like what we can, right?
And I like that it's focused on growth.
Yes.
It's focused on what are you going to build?
Yes.
One of the things that if I'm ever talking, I mean, I used to do education. This is why part of the reason that I'm just, I'm agog at all of these awesome things that are happening. I'm so impressed and delighted to hear that it's going on. But one of the things is I always talk about how are you building yourself?
Right.
There are some times in life, some places in life, the world is going to chip away at people. And, how are you strengthening yourself despite what's going on around you because of what's going on around you? And how are you building yourself? And with students especially, like, what are you doing to build yourself into a person who can live the life you want to live? Some people desire to take on the world, and some people desire to keep some part of it just moving along beautifully. And it's really, really inspiring. And that's not a word that I use lightly, ever. It's inspiring to hear that is going on. Who helped build you?
Well, I'm gonna say, my father was kind of my hero. He and I think I have, a chip off the old block from him. But he, had grade 8 education, but at the zenith of his career, he was one of the world's foremost experts on structural steel. So, for example, he built Seven World Trade, did all the structural steel for that, which was the 3rd building to fall at that time.
Oof.
On 9/11, did all the reconstruct on the South Street Seaport, built 60 Wall, traveled all over the world, the Nice Stadium, the iron bridges for the government of Canada all over Bangladesh at the time.
Wow.
Yeah, he's just a real sort of legend in his field. And he kind of, obviously was self-made, came from just the unimaginable poverty, right?
Hmm.
And I mean, I didn't come from poverty, but, you
Thanks to
know,
him.
thanks to him.
Yeah.
But I, came from a very sort of middle class upbringing, but I realized at a very young age, because I didn't have university education either, that there was a lot of things I could do. And to really fulfill what I wanted to do, I was going to have to build my own table. So this is my table, and I am feeding people at my table. And that's kind of what I want to be remembered for, is a real cheerleader for the mining industry. And, again, going back to this conference, I'm not a conference convener. I am a mining person who has built a conference, and I believe that I'm giving issuers and investors as somebody who was going to these conferences, what did I want to see?
Hmm.
What did I want to experience? So, as I said in my closing address last year, we may not have the most brilliant business plan right now, but we have the right thing to do plan. And that's if you build it the right way, the rewards and, whether that's monetary accolades, whatever, that will come. And
Yeah.
we're starting to see that, but it's an
Yeah.
endeavor,
I'm sure there's no shortage of reward in it for you.
Yeah.
But I always like to, when I'm talking with people, what was the most surprising, unexpected reward that came your way? Because as you're doing it, you expect certain positive outcomes, right? But I
Yeah.
always find there's something when it's done well, when it's done with, great intentions, and there's always something surprising.
Yeah. I think the most surprising thing is people are coming. I mean, to me, I would never take my sponsors or my issuers or my investors for granted. I mean, I am out there every single year meeting with people, going to other conferences, putting myself in front of people. And that's what I tell, young kids always say to me, how did you do it?
How do
It's
you
like,
meet people?
you have to be consistent, dudes. You've got to be out there. You've got to put yourself out there, and you
Mhm.
have to be consistent. And that is, I think, that's the toughest thing, is the consistency to get up every day and keep going and, keep chopping away at it.
Mhm.
How do you eat a loaf of bread? One slice at a time. And you just have to keep going to get it done.
Yeah.
It's not, and the other thing is, some kids say to me, oh, well, I want work-life balance. Okay, don't come here. And
Oh,
I appreciate that. I'm really happy for you. If that's your dream, oh my God, I wish I could have that too. But
I love
it
it.
it just depends, if you are really faint of heart and want everything in a perfect little box. Life is messy, and so is a lot of different industries. And this is a tough industry.
It
Um,
is, but when it's done well,
and
it's
it works, it's
amazing.
fabulous,
It
right?
is. It is. And I mean, we've had the work-life balance discussion many, many times.
Yeah.
And I think especially for women,
Yep.
we are sold or we dream of or we fantasize about having it all.
Yeah.
And my favorite people to listen to are the ones who say, you can't have it all at once,
Yes.
because that's just not real. You can have, and then for the women who take a seasonal approach to things, it's like, okay, that makes intuitive, deep sense to me that we can. do what we want to do, but there are going to be choices. I think it was the CEO of the Pepsi company, and she
Yeah.
was talking about it, and she said, "Oh, do I have it all?" She's like, "I don't have it all. I can't have it all. I
No,
can't have it all at once." She's like, "That's nonsense."
no, exactly.
And the support that it takes to, to have, if you're in like a typical family situation and you
Yep.
have one person in the mining industry,
Yep.
it kind of takes both people to make that career work if you're
Yeah.
going to have
And
family.
I'm probably going to say something really controversial,
Ooh.
but I think it's really hard to have a house with two CEOs in it. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, please don't come at me. But I mean, and I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying it's tough. It's hard.
It is
It's
hard
hard,
because you
So,
have all of these competing interests,
yeah.
and I mean there are seasons, I think, when it can work,
Yep.
and it can work beautifully, but I think everything all at once all the time is
Yeah.
unrealistic, and I don't think it's a quality message
No.
to pass to women or young people. Like we need some realism and
Yeah.
some excitement about, how do we make this happen, and
Yeah.
how do we, plan everything out. And my husband and we didn't both start out in the mining industry, but I kind of fell for the industry, became a huge fan as I saw what it could do in other places. And, career wise, I pressed pause
Yeah.
so that we could do those projects. And I was happy to do it.
Yeah.
And for someone who has had the most traditional, stay at home mom life for a number of years on and off, I
Right.
also was a working mom at the
Yeah.
same time, but with the full knowledge that, this is a choice. I
Yeah.
never felt pressured. I never, felt, oh, this is so tragic.
Yeah.
you know,
I know.
and
I mean, it's hard. And
yeah,
I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not saying it's impossible, but in a marriage, in life, it's give and take, and life is messy. I
yeah.
mean, when I had my now or never moment and I decided to start this conference and I was gung ho, guess what? My husband suddenly had to have open heart surgery.
Oh,
You
because
know,
life is funny that way.
Because life is messy. So I'm dealing with him. I'm stressed out over like, signing my life away, basically. And then my mother has an incident and she has to be put in long-term care. And then his mother had. So we've got two elderly parents in having to go into long-term care. He's very ill with open heart surgery. And,
Oi.
and I'm starting a conference and I don't even know if it's going to work. So I mean, and all this stuff about God only gives you what you can bear. Oh my God. I mean, I made it through.
Yeah.
And it's like, after that, it's all uphill. Like it's all downhill, I should say. It's fine. It's fine. Nothing can be worse than that first year when we started and everything in my personal life was just crazy and upside down and topsy-turvy.
Fires everywhere. Yeah.
Oh my God. It was a big sandwich.
And when that first conference wrapped and it was a success,
Mhm.
what was that feeling?
I think I went home and, just basically cried in the corner for 3 days.
Had a little crash?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, in the fetal position. I mean, it was like,
Yeah.
but, Matt Gordon, who was there right from the beginning, Jenny and I are at breakfast and we're crying over our bacon and eggs. And Matt comes in, he goes, "You did it. You did it. Now you just gotta do it again." And I just cried over here.
Oh, I'm gonna have a cup of coffee before I do it again.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. But yeah, no, and here we are, right? And I think we've grown 150% in 3 years. We're the fastest growing investment conference in North America.
And
And we've become a go-to place for mining companies to come. And
I want
globally,
to know,
that's important.
what do you give your prospective investors
Mhm.
that differs from other conferences? Because, and I'm asking because when I go to other conferences, it's like,
Mhm.
oh, it's a networking event, but nothing is set up. It's just a room.
Right.
I'm like, well, how do we 300 of us network? There's
Yeah.
no one making introductions. There's,
Yeah.
like how are we
Yeah.
connecting with people that we might, be able to build something with? So what are
Yeah.
you doing that's different from those types of conferences?
So, in a lot of the conferences we have today, the networking is really carried out by various, call them brokers or whatever, who send out an invitation to people and go, hey, we're having a cocktail party. And so you arrive there and it's the same old people. And, you've got a dusty chicken wing or a cracker with some dried cheese, a couple of beers, right?
Uh-huh.
So I decided that that's not what I wanted to do. My model for my conference is actually the BMO model, and it's run like a banking conference. So
Okay.
all the evening events are sponsored. So, for example, when I say we have our gala networking event, it's not a gala sit down dinner. It's like this beautiful room that's all decked out, lit. All the major sponsors have big, like 15-foot pavilions that are branded. You can sit there. There's food stations.
There you go.
There's a beautiful core shack, the most glamorous core shack you ever saw. And we have chandeliers. I mean, it's amazing, right? Great music is playing. There's a casino in the back, and people are networking. And the major sponsors have sent out invitations that, hey, we've got a pavilion. Come and be our guest. Come and see us. So
Nice.
that's the first night. We also, we have pre-registration. That is a cocktail with live entertainment from 6 to 9 on the second. That's sponsored by Core this year. So, and again, have some snacks, have a drink, meet some of the people that are going to be there, right? We have our gala. The next night we have in the gala room, we condense it down to just a cocktail. So again, some really nice food. The core shacks are still up. So the casino is closed, but it's a room where you can network. Later on, from 9 to midnight, Atkins Realis is sponsoring the After Dark event, which is going to be a major blowout this year. So that is in the foyer of the ballroom at the Hilton, which is right across the street, and where everybody is staying. And then the following is the end of the conference, and we ended up with a beautiful Ajir cocktails right in the middle of the event in our lounge area. So, when people like for 3 days, you don't have to leave the building. You can go to all these events. You have beautiful breakfast in the morning. You have a lunch. The mining companies, the issuers, they have their own personal one-on-one rooms. So they're not moving.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
investors, I mean, the mining companies are the ones that are paying me. So why wouldn't I give them their own room? The issuers are going from room to room, or the investors are going from room to room.
Hmm.
And it's in this one big area and it's all alpha. It's easy as pie.
It sounds so much more structured
Yeah.
and social in the
Yes.
best ways so that the investors are able to have actual conversations.
Yeah.
When you go to other conferences, and there are great ones out there, that have it. My feeling is that most of the stuff that happens there is sort of sidebar,
Yeah.
right? But what you've done is you've made sidebars at the venue, and I think that's brilliant.
Yeah.
I see that we're running short on time,
Yeah.
but what I would like to do is say, a huge thank you
Thank
for the industry work that you're doing, but also, I so appreciate what you're doing for students and for the companies themselves. Like and you said a couple times that you're not a convener, but I think you maybe are.
I just know how to throw a hell of a party.
A very, very meaningful party. I
Yeah.
will thank you again so much. It's been a real pleasure talking with you, and I wish you well for your next conference.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We hope to see you there. It'd be great to have you.
Well, it sounds like a great time.
Yes, you'd love it. Would love it.
Wonderful.
All
Have
right.
a great day. Thank you so much.
Okay, take care.
You
Bye-bye.
too. Bye-bye. Resourceful Women is a product of the Prospector News. Opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the speaker and speaker alone. Resourceful Women is for educational and entertainment purposes, and nothing in the podcast should be taken as investment advice. Always consult with a licensed personal financial advisor before making any investment purchases.